Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have 3 brand new stories, starting with one about petty revenge, in which our OP was very accurate and came out the winner. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Garage dispute. I was living in a temporary apartment for a few months, and the garage spots were very tight. So as a courtesy, I parked my small convertible, which was new and barely driven, and avoided using the car, so I even bought a cover for it and pool noodles so I wouldn't have the doors damaged by either car parked next to it. I also have an SUV which I use as a daily driver, and as a courtesy, due to the small parking spaces, I decided to pay for public parking and walk 2 blocks, so it would protect the small convertible, as well as not bother the neighbors using their cars. Next to me, there was a 2-door Mercedes. One day, I went to check on my car, and there was a note from the Mercedes neighbor saying I scratched his car while opening my door. I went to examine both cars and noticed his protective plastic on his door had a scratch, the one the dealer installs, so you don't ding your door while opening it. So it clearly wasn't me who scratched his car. My car had no marks. It was always parked and protected by the cover and pool noodles, barely used. One day, this guy bumped into me and my spouse at the elevator, and as I walk out, starts shouting to the whole elevator I was the dude who scratched his car. My spouse confronted him saying our car didn't have any sign of damage, and he was rude and unapologetic. So here was the revenge. We had another month and a half on the lease. I found a storage unit which allowed me to park the small convertible car and started parking my SUV next to him on the small spot that barely fit the SUV. The SUV had air suspension that lowers and gets higher with the press of a button. For my comfort, I always left the car raised, making it difficult to an overweight tall man to sit in a 2-door Mercedes. I saw him trying once and waited for him to enter his car, then I showed up. As the SUV is big, I was always parking close to the white line, but never crossing the line or parking over it. It was enough for him not being able to use his car if I'd parked my car on the other side of his car because he wasn't able to get in it. He ended up having to find another spot to park his car, and I ended up with more space next to my car until I left. Seeing him squeeze to get into his car once was pretty glorious if you ask me. And our second story. You are not important. For the record, M is me and K is the angry woman. You know why. For context, by that time I was sleep deprived. My neighbors threw a big party, and even after the cops asked them to turn the music down, they didn't stop until 5 a.m. So yeah, I was PO'd. I work in the deli section of a supermarket, and before you can start doing your work and serve customers, you need to do some chores you can't ignore or do later. That's the rule. So I went to the section, and my coworker was serving the customers while I was doing chores, like checking the books and inventory, putting a stamp and signs, etc. She wasn't really busy, just a couple of people on the line. I heard a finger snapping and a, "Hey you." I took a deep breath, because if there's something that I hate, it's that whistle from clients. I turned my head and asked the woman, "Yes, ma'am?" "K, I want 500 grams of this," pointing at something. I didn't care. "Sorry, I can't serve yet. My partner can attend to you in just a moment." "But I asked you to do it." "Ma'am, I can't until I fill those books. Wait a moment and my partner will do it." "No, I can't wait. You're free, so do your job and give me my ham." "Sorry, miss, I can't until I end this. That's the market rule." By this time, my companion was just enjoying the show and serving another customer who arrived after Kay because she was too busy asking me to do her service instead of wait a little. "Are you refusing to do your work and serve me?" "No, I'm telling you I can't do it, but my coworker can." "Oh, but I don't want her to serve me. I want you to get up off your lazy butt and serve me." I realized by this point she was just feeding her ego or something because my coworker already attended 3 more people. "No." "Excuse me?" "I need to do this paperwork before or I'm going to be in trouble." "If you dare refuse to serve, I'm going to get you in trouble." "Okay, now you can get in line and wait because I'm refusing to serve you." "That's it. Call the manager." "Okay." I took out the radio and talked. "Manager, we have a client who wants to speak with you." Kay put an ugly smile on her face and told me, "I'm going to see you get fired after this. Maybe next time you're going to think again before disrespecting a customer." At this point, I lost all my customer service attitude. I had a terrible night, and now she's giving me a terrible day. I told her everything in a calm but cold voice. Do you really think they're going to fire me because you say so? Do you really think you're that important? There are literally 100 people here right now. Hundreds, maybe thousands on a regular day, even more in a month. One customer isn't special. What makes you think they're going to fire me and then go through the process of replacing and training a new guy because of you? I'm far more important to the company than you. I'm a client. I'm a long-time useful employee. I probably could insult you as my wish, and the only consequence would be a nagging or a warning if I'm too loud. Kay had a sour face. She obviously couldn't think up an answer. My manager arrived, me and my coworker explained what happened, and even a lady customer, who was an employee in a local store, confirmed what I said, and she even offered to look for another customer to testify. The woman wasn't expelled or arrested, but the manager told her why I couldn't serve her and agreed with me when I refused to do it. She got her half her kilogram of ham and left. It's not a big thing, but I'm proud of it. It's true, it costs hundreds of thousands to train new staff, and no company wants to waste all that time and money because that cannibal didn't get her ham fast enough. And our last story. Either suck it up or leave. I worked in the service industry, well, to some extent, for about 2 years before the pandemic came. When I say to some extent, what I mean is I wasn't really serving anyone. I worked in a department called back office, or BO for short. This is where goods come and go. Our department has 2 jobs, to check and to input, therefore we call them checker and data. The checker's job is to make sure that all orders are eligible. This included quality and quantity. After a checker has confirmed the order, the data will then input the information regarding said order into the system, after which the merchandise is ours and will not be eligible for a return. Therefore, our department was extremely important. The work was stressful and more often than not, heavily supervised. We used to have 8 people working at full capacity during normal days and barely managed to get by. There were weeks when we had to work overtime almost every day just to get everything running in order. Because of these overtime hours, we got paid more than other departments, nearly 30 to 40%. Of course, this sparked controversy. Other supervisors argued that we're using our workload to exploit the company. Mine was having none of it. There were audits, sessions, supervision from the higher-ups, and they found nothing. They even tried to bring in another crew from another store that's closely related. They quit as a whole after 1 month. When we got back in control, we even requested more hours to cover the crap they'd left behind. Eventually, the store stopped trying to change us. Instead, they tried to limit our hours. We used to request 2 to 3 hours on busy days before, but even when the store was practically buried under mountains of goods, they only let us do 1, very rarely 2. We tolerated it at first. Normally, we'd stay past the requested hours just to see things done, not because we loved the job, God no, but because we're responsible workers, and if we didn't finish the work that day, there were chances we'd get consumed by the flow of goods the very next day. But it was usually 30 to 45 minutes of those extra, 1 hour tops. When the change happened, there are days we had to do 2 extra hours with no pay. Yes, we should have said F it to their faces, but my supervisor asked us to stay and he tried to fix things. He's a super cool dude, and because I liked him very much, I agreed. The others weren't so cheerful. 3 left after a month, so we're down to 5. Our HC was then 3 checkers, 1 data, and the cool dude. Us checkers suffered, yes, but the data was on the verge of collapsing. She'd be the first to enter the office and usually the last to leave. Her shift was 8 hours, but she worked 12 or more every day. More often than not, 2 or 3 of them were unpaid. We tried to share the workload with her, but we couldn't even cover our own most of the days. His objection to the work hours came to no avail. They were aware that we deserved those hours, so they simply ignored his request and response with something general. He's PO'd. It was July, and the heat should not have come from the company as well. He requested a full audit, threatened to leave if things didn't change. They basically told him, either suck it up or go home. So he just left. He's the 3rd person they've hired in 3 years to manage that office, so they thought he's just as disposable as the others. What they didn't know, he's the only reason I and Miss Data stayed. So when we knew what happened, we immediately notified HR that we'll also be leaving. They threatened us with penalties for unlawfully terminating our contracts because we hadn't given them 2 weeks' notice, but we laughed it off and reminded them that being the special department, the BO was given an extra 3 days off each year, which totaled 15 days. Also, our contract stated specifically that if someone quit, they could choose to either use their remaining days off and leave early or get them converted into payment. They were so surprised when they found out that we had all our days off fully intact. It's almost as if we'd been too busy to use them or something. I don't know. So they couldn't do anything about it. We then left the office with everyone's eyes shooting daggers. Of course, everything plunged into chaos. Did I mention that we're the most important department in the whole chain? Because we were, they found out the very, very, very hard way. The other 2 guys managed to last a week before leaving, citing something like total madness or absolutely out of control. After they left, the store brought in a team of 10. But they couldn't have covered half our work despite being twice in number. Honestly, I didn't care about it that much, but it's not something that flew by. There were days when their store had nothing on the shelves, so people started to go to the other store in town to shop. When things got back to somewhat normal, it was after 5 months and the damage had already been done. They closed last month and the place is now rented to some small business. Supervisor, either suck it up or leave. Employees, leave. Supervisor, surprise Pikachu face. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.